biggest surprise of the offseason. I've got the Detroit Lions. I am surprised that the only moves really that they've made this offseason is along the offensive line. They went and got Juice Scruggs for David Montgomery. They've gone and grabbed a couple of tackles, but there are some issues on this team. We keep talking about, is their Super Bowl window closed? I don't know if they're making enough moves right now to keep it open. We're still talking about pass rush and a guy opposite Aiden Hutchinson to make that pass rush more dynamic. Kirby Joseph, I'm getting reports hearing that the knee injury isn't progressing the way they want to. Brian Branch, they don't know when he's going to be coming back. Alex Anzalone, one of their leaders in the linebacker corps, he's gone. I'm not sure exactly what the thought process is going on in the Detroit Lions right now.
All right, so let's talk about Jason Cabinda. He used to be the Lions former fullback. Kind of been making the rounds in the media, recently, the last year, some change. And he's saying what some Lion fans believe when they're saying that the Lions haven't done enough, and some of the concerns that the Lions have, and they seem to be pretty much unbothered. He said he hearing Kirby, and everybody hearing that about Kirby Joseph knee. But, only time will tell when the draft get here if they'll draft a safety or not. And the kid that they got from Tampa is supposed to be like the Branch replacement, if something go wrong. So if they draft another safety, more of a free safety, I think we have better context on how they feel about it. And they've been wrong before. They banked on Josh Pascal, Levon Zerike in past years, and they haven't been healthy. They banked on Marcus Davenport. So just because the draft or Brad Holmes or the organization of the Detroit Lions feel that they feel confident in Kirby Joseph's injury or Brian Branch's injury, we've seen them feel confident before, and it's like they're like, oh, we don't know what happened, and oh my God, we can't believe it, So that's something else to kind of ponder on when we start having those conversations, because if they feel good about it historically, that hasn't been a good indicator. If they feel good about it, that means usually the guy is not gonna be too good about it. The guy is not gonna be healthy. So they put a lot of stock and a lot of value into players who, or a lot of hope into players that's been injury prone, and they hope for them to be, healthy, and it hasn't worked. He also brings up the fact of them losing Alexander Zoney. I feel like the writing was on the wall for that one for so long. When they drafted Jack Campbell and officially felt comfortable with him at middle linebacker, I think Alexander Zoney, that was a demotion, middle to outside linebacker. So they planned on replacing him in the draft. So one of those picks, they must like a plethora of linebackers. That's going to happen. And then, we kind of have the same argument every year, which we used to didn't have the argument. We used to have the reverse argument of the defensive end. It was never a question of us having a good defensive line from the 90s from Shawn Rogers to down to Luther Ellis and Robert Porcher and to Dominican Sue and, Kyle Vanden Bosch helped setting the tone here. We always had really good defensive lines until really the Quinn Tricia era. In this era, and we used to have an argument why they don't draft a corner. And then, they finally took Darius Slade, Martin Mayhew in the second round, and there was a whole debate about him and Jonathan Banks, and Slade ended up being the better corner. And then, what's old buddy named Bob Quinn came in, and he took, what's my man's name? Jeff Okuda. That didn't go well. So, and, they don't now, they love corners. It was a corner, Tyrion, Ennis Rackstraw, if it's trading for Carlton Davis, which we all, he was a dog, and was then spending free agent money on DJ Reed. They gonna spend some money. It's gonna be a quarterback, So, so all his concerns are valid. These are all conversations that's been having that's really killed the morale or the excitement that people have about the Lions. People feel like he said that window was closed. I mean, a lot of people feel the same way. You don't feel nothing. When you got the Pistons doing what you're doing, most people living in the moment. Nobody care about the NFL draft right now. Most people living in the moment with the Pistons. Now, the Wings missed the playoffs. Damn, it's fucked up. But, people living with the Pistons right now. Even though as much as Detroit is seen to be a football town, it's really a basketball and a hockey town, and that's just what it is. It's just that the Lions have been so much of a losers. It's like they got to get, football is, it's only so many games, and on Sundays it's become a religious thing as far as for a lot of people around the great state of Michigan. But I don't think he lied about anything. I don't trust Jason just think about it. The DJ Wonnum kid, the tackle that they brought in, we don't see those guys as top-notch starters, just like he said. And if if they go with that Broom kid at tackle and don't get him no real help, and he don't jump like a car battery, then guess what? Jared Goff can be out of here. He can be on the stretcher. So I don't think they got the balls enough to play with the tackle position. That's just my opinion personally. The defensive end position is just something that they not going to never address. It doesn't matter. You might as well stop talking about it. How they used to feel about corner, getting Alex Carter and Bill Bentley and undrafted Aaron Berry and getting these corners off the street, getting, Dre Bly and Chris Houston, the second or third, fourth best corner for the Atlanta Falcons and the Los Angeles Rams. That's how Brad Holmes feel about the defensive end position, other than opposite to Aiden Hutchinson. That's just how he feel about it. He just don't really respect it like that. He don't believe in having bookends. And also you banking on the Lynn McNeil to return the form. It's just too many things that have to go right for the Lions, and we already know no matter how good it look or how right it feel, it's just it's an accident waiting to happen, like Stephen A. Smith say. They're accident waiting to happen. You just waited for us to take the bust that Huey. So at the end of the day, I'm never optimistic about the Lions. Not coming into a season. I'm just not. They hurt me so many times. So he got to have a great draft. And guess what? A great draft. And he's had them. He had a couple subpar ones the last couple. But he had them. He's had a couple great drafts. A few of them. But you don't know how great the draft is. So we get in. You got questions about guys next year. From last year's draft. Is Tesla going to take a jump? Is Tate Ratledge going to take another jump? Is Talib Williams going to take that jump? And then they still banking on Anzarike to do something. It's like, okay. But hey, thumbs up the video. It's a lot of ifs. And a lot of them ifs is contingent on injured players turning back to form. And we ain't even talk about the ifs that they can draft, the injury-prone guys they can draft, the ifs that they can draft. You still waiting to see what Ennis Rackstar brings to the table. It's a crazy world, bro. Check out Detroit Lions Talk playlist. Want to holler at me, hit the link in the description. Say find me everywhere, the Linktree, X, Instagram, Facebook, my other platforms. Peace.